Hello, hello. What is up? What is good? We are reading chapter 1166 of One Piece. Very, very late. Chapter came out on Sunday. It is now Thursday, and I've finally gotten a chance to read it. Just been very, very busy. That's how it goes sometimes. But I've been looking forward to it. Things have been really crazy. Looks like God Valley is finally reaching its final climax. And where we go from here is kind of a mystery. You know, as I've said, this is sort of a double nested flashback. We need to kind of get back to Harold's adventure and what led to the circumstances where he was killed by his own countrymen. Then we need to understand Loki's story, which I'm sure will actually be a lot more substantial than we're thinking. You know, like in God Valley time, he was just a little kid. And as I said, I really think he's going to join the crew. I'm actually quite convinced of that. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. But surely he's going to have like a more tragic backstory to delve into in the time between when he sees his father get killed and he's chained up and when he was a little brat. But anyways, any of those things and more could happen. We've got a fun cover page here. The gang out roasting sweet potatoes under a fire of fallen leaves. That's a very typical Japanese fall activity. I love sweet potatoes. It sounds awfully good to me. I like that some of the Wano friends are here too. Shinobu, Yamato, and Otama are coming to hang out. Whole bunch of forest friends, you know. We got tanukis and foxes. Very fun, very good times. Here we are with like the kind of just the OG crew too. No Frankie, no Robin. Just the East Blue Gang and Chopper, I guess. All right, let's plunge into it. This chapter is called New Stories. We see the aftermath of this insane battle between Rox and Roger and Garp, who unleashed their combined Supreme King Haki attacks to finally knock Rox unconscious. It looks like this has knocked the curse free from him. So this is maybe hinting at how they'll deal with the giants in present day. That you can, in fact, knock the senses back into them. Make them good little giants again. I still think, though, that it's really going to be like an Othello game. And in Othello, you swap things from back and to forth. So I still think that Luffy is going to show up and unleash a new power that he didn't even recognize before to undo the effects of Emu. And maybe even like fully flip to go from not just demon back to neutral, but to go to white, to go to some sort of crazy sun god mode or something. I think would be very interesting. At any rate, Rox shows another way here. You can just beat the crap out of them and they'll get better. Who is this approaching in silhouette? Guess not. Roger, Garp, you better run. No reason to stick around and die with me. Here we have the Holy Knights, some of them that were participating in the hunt. Sommers, Garland, and I can't remember this crazy lady's name, but she's awesome. Wearing a coat kind of like Doflamingo. Perhaps a relation? She some sort of crazy Don Quixote family member or something too. The sunglasses as well. I don't know. Could be a coincidence. I'm sure this isn't the last time we'll see her as a character. We'll show up somewhere in the present day in some totally insane Marijois arc or something. Nice moment here. Thank you for stopping me. I'm glad you stopped me. Thank you. Rough. I didn't think that would be the end of Rox. That's quite brutal. Some tragedy there. What happened to Rock's rally? They killed him. Their lieutenants running off. The island's collapsing. Don't let the pirates escape. Roger's ship is on the move. Open fire. Okay, so we know that God Valley ultimately gets wiped off the map in a similar way that Lusasia, or whatever it's called, the place where Ace winds up at one point, we saw get totally annihilated when they were trying to track down Sabo. They used the flying ancient weapon, which might be not Pluton, not Neptune, but the other one, whose name is eluding me, to annihilate it from the sky. That's what we assume they want the Mother Flame for, is to power that weapon. So I assume that a similar thing would happen here, that's how they would have wiped God Valley off of the map, since it's like the same phrasing. But instead, it looks like it just sort of collapses in on itself, sinks into the ocean, absent from the pages of recorded history. Like a curtain falling on a stage, the island crumbled in upon itself and was shrouded in a deep, deep mist. This is a broad account of what happened in the mysterious, obscure God Valley incident. Alright. But after a brief moment of silence, a massive lightning bolt with countless branches split the sky, and with that, a number of new stories began. Yeah, there's a lot of... we see them here. Garp, Roger, Whitebeard, Big Mom, Kaido, Dragon, Shanks, the Narsent Revolutionary Army, Kuma Ivakanov, and Kuma's partner's name, and Blackbeard. Crazy, crazy, crazy. We all knew that it was, like, building to this. Like I said, this was an interesting little arc because we went in already kind of knowing, like, most of what happened. Like, I could have anticipated more or less this page right from the start of it. Only surprises, you know, on this level being, like, Dragon's presence and this being the origin of Shanks and stuff, too. But yeah. This is it. This is a fractalization point of history. And this is the dawning of a new era just as much as Roger's execution was. It's like the Rock's equivalent, you know? They're just waiting for Roger to wake up so they can open all the treasure. Got Shaggy safe and sound. And they got Marigold, too, came along with them, the other Pirate Empress, who might be Ace's mother, maybe? I think that's still kind of up in the air. That might be covered in this flashback as well, who knows? Still, you know, a ways off into the future. Ace is, like, I don't know, like 10 years younger than Blackbeard at least. Made off with all this treasure. Ah, and this is the discovery of Shanks, of course. Very good, very good. A little aside, a theory that a friend proposed to me that she had seen, I think somewhere, somebody talking about, that she wondered what I thought of, is the idea that Buggy is also Kaido's son. That Buggy is... or not Kaido's son, sorry, Rox's son. That Buggy is also Rox's son. The idea coming from that Rox makes some facial expressions kind of like Buggy, true, and that on this Shonen Jump cover, it's revealed that Rox has blue hair, just like Buggy. And it also kind of explains, like, you know, in broad strokes, like the origin of Buggy, that Buggy ends up on Roger's ship at some point. We don't really know the answer to that, why that happened. So it kind of suggests maybe a reasoning for that. But I don't think that ages make any sense. Because if Buggy is Blackbeard's younger brother, which is what this would be suggesting, then, like, how did Rox have him before he died? Because Blackbeard is, like, I don't know, like 1 or 2 or a toddler or something. It's the little bitty baby. And where the hell is Buggy then? Does Rox just have, like, hoes in every area code? And there's another baby mama out there with Buggy? I kind of doubt it, because they went out of their way to track down, like, Blackbeard and his mom as, like, last vestiges of the Davy clan. Why wouldn't they have got Buggy? And we know that Buggy and Shanks are, like, the same age, right? They're both ship hands on Roger's ship when they were little tykes, right? So I don't know. It doesn't really make sense to me. It would be odd as well, I think, just to, because, like, One Piece has all of these sorts of, like, lineages of power, you know, because your dad was strong, you're gonna be strong too. Maybe even a little too much. I think an issue sometimes Shonen run into when they do kind of like the surprise parentage twist, like they did with Roger and Blackbeard, or with Blackbeard and Rox, is if you do too much of it, if you start just kind of drawing lines across the family tree all over the place, it loses some of the surprise. And then it also starts to work against, like, the feeling of, you know, everybody can do anything, and the reason they succeed is through their own hard work and spirit and determination. And then it starts to feel more like, oh, okay, well, you really got to know somebody to know somebody. You really got to be somebody to be somebody, you know? So, I don't know. In general, I think you got to do that with a very sparse touch. Just sprinkle it in as a little bit of spice and surprise. And One Piece, I think, has done that, like, pretty well. Like, there's a lot of people with unknown parentage left that we haven't, like, compromised on. And I don't know, maybe we will, maybe we won't. We found out that Sanji has this whole crazy lineage. We found out that Zoro kind of has, like, a crazy lineage, but that's much more of, like, a background thing. Luffy, of course, we learned about his exciting family and a sequence of fun surprises. Same with Ace. And Shanks as well, we just kind of had, and then Rox and Blackbeard, of course. So there's, like, quite a lot, or at least it seems, but One Piece has, like, thousands of characters, so the hit rate isn't actually that high compared to something like Naruto. At any rate, all of this is to say, they do it to this extent, for better or for worse, but they at least make it, like, really consistent that if you do have, like, this sort of powerful blood in you, you will be powerful. Inevitably. So how the heck did Buggy end up the way he is with a father like Rox, right? If he has the Davy blood in him, does it really make sense for him to actually just be, like, weak and cowardly and this sort of, like, pseudo-joke character whose strength just came from coincidence and opportunity and bluffing? I don't know. I don't know. I was just thinking about it because, yeah, they're mentioning Shanks, and they're mentioning kind of like the build-up of the Roger Pirates into this final era of their being the Pirate King and stuff. So, you know, they may answer the question of, like, where the heck Buggy came from. But, we don't know yet. The downfall of the Rox Pirates, the story, of course, was heavily sanitized. Predominantly featured the exploits of Garp the Hero. Yeah. Garp was the strongest real man around. They all love Garp. Some fun little shots of kingdoms here. This one has a fun feeling. There's one with these sort of pagodas. I don't know where that's meant to kind of ape. Sometimes Oda even puts, like, little fun surprises on the backs of newspapers. Is this a map of, like, Impel Down or something? Some sort of diagram on the back here. I think that it could mean something. He's done that before. Then we see, like, a tropical island. They're wearing, like, the hibiscus pants, the pineapple shirt. That's got to be South Blue. So maybe this other one is, like, West Blue, because then this last one feels like North Blue. It's got that kind of, like, Dickensian vibe, you know, old world London, Christmassy, snow everywhere, big puffy pine trees. Maybe. Anyways, bring me this Morgan's guy. He needs to answer for this. Yeah, no, buddy. It was the government. It was your guys. World government and the Navy are both massive new organizations. The militaries of all the member countries. There are tens of millions of soldiers across the world. Okay, that's kind of interesting, because this is the first time that, like, big population numbers have ever really been suggested in One Piece. Like, what is the population of the planet upon One Piece resides? Do we have any idea? I don't really think so. I don't think that's ever even been ballparked before. We know that there's like 100 countries in the world government or something like that. We know that from the summit, whatever that was called. I can't remember. The Reverie. But we don't really have a good sense of like how many people are in each of those countries. You know, if we look at Earth has like 200 and some countries. Some of them have like 2 billion people. Some of them have like 20,000 people. That doesn't really mean so much. Tens of millions of soldiers, though. That's our like ballpark. So that's quite interesting. So when I notice that upper management is doing something insane, I can just look the other way. Turn out like that, I'm gonna kill you myself. With friends like you, how can it possibly go wrong? Yeah, so here we can really... I think this is a good line to include, this little page. Because it really is like, why the hell would Garp stay with the Marines after seeing what he saw in God Valley? After seeing the monstrosity and the depravity and the deep evil? Well, it's because, like Sengoku says, there's 10 million soldiers out there. A lot of them, we can hope, are doing a good job. Somebody's got to keep the lower ranks aligned, keep good things happening among all the grunts and stuff. Is this great logic? No. Is this logic that would compel me to believe someone who's like a police administrator for the American police saying, hey, I know there's corruption at the top and I know there's a lot of bad apples, but I'm doing my part to keep the good cops working well? No, I wouldn't trust that kind of reasoning as far as I could throw it. But it's something. Like, you feel convinced that that's what Garp believes. That it feels in line with Garp's type of integrity and Sengoku's type of integrity, that they can motivate themselves like this. For the sake of the good soldiers, you know? And this is, again, why I think at the end of the day, it's not going to be the Straw Hat Pirates versus the entire forces of the world government and the Navy. It's going to be like a division of the good Navy versus the bad Navy. We've already seen that foreshadowed and hinted at a lot. With breakout groups like Sword, you know? Okay. Alright, now we're back to Elbaf, where it seems that Loki has heard the news. Really think I'd take kids onto my crew. Ignored by the guy's attention I want, followed around by some annoying snot-nosed brat instead. I think you're Nika, Rox. Warrior of liberation. He laughs as he tears down the world. Tears it down. Well, I'm going to be king of the world. If anyone's got that kind of power, it's Harold. Oh. Oh, shit. This is the Frozen Giants. This is One Piece's Wall Titans. This is why the world government wanted so badly to convince Harold. This is why the world government still wants to convince the giant warriors to fall in line and submit. Not just for them, but for the frozen continent. Where ores probably came from. Maybe. Might have something to do with Don Chinjao's treasure. Remember? He froze it in a continent of ice. This is kind of like the One Piece's world version of Antarctica, I guess. Not really sure where it's situated. this may actually fall further ahead in the new world. Like if we're picturing, do I have a ball? I don't have a ball. And probably in my entire apartment, I don't have a ball. Feels. Well, picture a ball. Surely you can picture a ball. We're going around one axis of the Grand Line, and then the other axis is, of course, the Red Line. And so, in my mind, if, like, the Red Line two podes are Reverse Mountain, and then where Marie-Joie and Fishman Island are. Those are on two opposite points on the ball. And then we've the red line, of course, yeah. So then we're going around one half entirely, then we're going around the second half. I think it's like this frozen continent must lie kind of like at the furthest distance between the halfway point, you know? Like this is as far away on the other side of the world as I wish I had a ball. It's hard for me to explain this with you just picturing the ball. But you know what I'm trying to say, right? So I think it's like we could have still not encountered it. I think it will lie on one of those axes. It may have something to do with Raftel. I have no idea. There's a lot of kind of mysterious elements coming into play that could all be interconnected. The guy who can actually control him is your old man. I could have all the outlaws in the world under my command. So surely we're going to see that, right? And I don't think that'll be when, we drain the oceans. I think that will be sooner. I think that will be kind of a final trump card that the good guys and bad guys squabble over before the final fight. Because as I said, I don't think the One Piece will be a weapon. It doesn't really make sense to you get the One Piece and then you can unleash a bunch of sleeping giants. That doesn't make any sense. But I think it has to come into play. There's no way Oda is writing this without picturing, an army of gigantic dudes the size of oars. And then, this also kind of feels like this is sort of a connection point with Zunisha, the giant elephant that wanders the oceans. Sin of Zunisha. There's a lot going on here, man. But my point is, I think this means Loki joins the crew. That Loki will be with them. And they will gain control of this slumbering army of giants. Okay. Why does my dad team up with you? Because of love. But I'll keep coming back 100 times, 200 times, as many as it takes. It's a giant ruffian that he's beating. But it's so brutal. Oh yeah, so this is his crackdown on the remaining giants that still go around causing trouble and raiding and pillaging and stuff. This is, the persistent understanding of giants. Yeah. Harold beating him down. Probably going a little too far here, When Elbaf to join the world government to avoid losing their face, and that was why I couldn't help him. My greatest friend begged me for help and I turned my back on him. I left on him there to die. This is so sad, man. Because it's all a freaking lie. It's all a lie. The world government doesn't give a shit if they were violent. The world government doesn't give a shit that they pillage people and stuff. They're just trying to cohere them into giving access to their power. Brutal. I cannot turn back from this path. I refuse to overlook the evil of giants. The king of giants becomes deranged. Ooh. Roger, oh my god, I'm just saying names at random. I must be more tired than I think. Garp, Freeze, Dragon. Wow. Made up my mind. Ida, Chief Cheryl, it's time for me to set aside these half measures. What the hell? I want you two to work together to support Elbaf after I'm gone. Oh, shit. Is this why he's killed by his countrymen? Because he ends up being demonified by Emu and then comes back to wreak havoc on Elbaf? Maybe? Been instructed to not allow you to enter the land. Oh, okay. This is when he breaks off his horns. Allow me this chance to atone for 1,000 years of history. I want to apologize for all the mistakes that Giantkind has made. I wish to prove my oath of peace so the children of Elbaf can live fruitful lives without hurting anyone, so that they can live hand in hand with humanity. I want a chance to atone for our sins. If that means I must be a slave, so be it. Oh my god. Ah, they're tricking you. They're tricking you. Oh, that's so tragic. Because, like, it really does make sense from his perspective. It really does feel like he will be able to make them a nation state, a member state, sorry. Oh, my video froze. Just my video froze, though. I think we're still recording audio. Well, whatever. I can talk about it more in the next chapter. But this is really quite a tragic, tragic tale. Okay, see you next week.